philanthropic partnership to bring you trusted local businesses, keeping Ocala local. Use hyper.directory, no .www, not even .com, just hyper.directory, connecting customers to businesses when it matters most.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 24 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. There was a story in the news just this morning about one of the theme parks here in Florida that is going to make special efforts to accommodate children with autism. The theme park is Legoland, and I think what they're going to do is they're going to have like quiet areas or quieter areas of the park that are a little bit more quiet. You know, here at Christmas time here at the mall, we had a special day just for autistic children. Remember, we had it was a quiet day. They turned off all the music. They made sure the lights weren't as distracting.
And they did that for Easter too, with the Easter Bunny.
Did they?
So.
I didn't realize they did that. Anyway, the children are always so sweet, and so we have a story right here about two children, and they're twins. And I believe, if I'm hope not speaking out of line here, one of the children has autism, the other doesn't. Marguerite Elisofon, whose name I'm probably not saying correctly, is on the phone. She's the mother of Samantha, and Samantha was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder at the age of 18 months. Marguerite is a New York City writer, a contributor to Existare, is that right? Journal of Arts and Literature. She write for Light, the Hobo Pancakes. Hobo Pancakes!
I love that.
I could have a couple of them right now. Wild Violet, Kaleidoscope, and her book is called My Picture Perfect Family, What Happens When One Twin Has Autism. It is a memoir. And let's say hello to Marguerite. Good morning, Marguerite.
Good morning. I'm also in time.com.
Look at you.
Check it out.
Look at you. Where do you live?
Nice.
Where are you calling from?
Manhattan. New York City.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
How's the weather in Manhattan? I heard it was snowing in Boston. Tell me it's not snowing in Manhattan, is it?
No, it's not raining, but it's 38 degrees, and it doesn't feel like April.
Really? What's going on? Is it global cooling happening, or what's going on?
I don't know, just keeping us guessing, I guess.
How do you pronounce your last name, Marguerite? Let me get that first.
Elisofon.
Elisofon. All right, easy enough. And where are your children right now? Do they live in Manhattan with you, or do you work in Manhattan?
Actually, my daughter still lives with me part-time, but she's never home because she is in two different theater groups for adults with disabilities. And now and then she sings and performs, and she has the other 4 days she lives at her Aspie boyfriend's house. My son lives in California and is a scriptwriter, and
that's awesome.
Both of my kids have been involved with movies, so that's been sort of exciting.
So what was it like as they were when they were younger, especially considering that one was diagnosed with autism?
Well, I guess it would be an understatement to say that it was difficult and overwhelming at times, but I learned a lot from both of my children, and, it was before the Internet and before Autism Speaks and before ABA was embraced. One of the things that I learned, and have learned even more recently, is how different each individual on the spectrum is. So, for example, when you were talking before, the interview began about everything being so quiet for the sake of kids with autism. My daughter loves places that are lively.
She loves it noisy. Oh, wow.
Well, no, she doesn't dislike it if it's quiet, but she likes going to the lively, noisy restaurants, and she doesn't mind crowded theaters, or she goes to Times Square with her friends to go to the movies, although now I don't want her doing that anymore because it's not so safe, but yeah.
And is that because of how you raised her, or do you just think her symptoms, because of the spectrum being as so varying, that's just the way she is?
The latter. I think each person's different, and different things irritated her, or she found different things upsetting. Some are the same as some people, and some are different.
What I find interesting is that what you just told us about your children as adults is that they both have pursued careers that required them to be creative.
Right.
So that didn't separate them. I mean, the fact that they both have creativeness in them wasn't affected really by the autism.
Well, some of it's luck and some of it's ego, I guess. My daughter, I think, as a result of her autism, she was almost embarrassment-proof, not self-conscious at all, very proud of the fact that she had perfect pitch and wanting to show it off as, I think, a way to, like, offset what she knows to be many of her weaknesses. And so that sort of fearlessness is what helped her. As for my son, he's just very verbal and funny, and I think he'd rather write and do things on his own than wear a suit and tie and go into an office. So they come from very different places.
And they're living in two different places now. Do they still connect? Like usually when you hear about twins, that it's kind of rare for them to be living so far apart from one another.
Well, I don't know about other twins, but mine are, not personality-wise so close. They love each other like family members, and if you're on, it's like Team Elisofon. They show up for each other's accomplishments and performances. She went to many of his baseball games and football games, and his when he sang in a choral group, and he's gone to all of her performances. He came home from Vassar during finals week to see her premiere of Keep the Change when she did that. They were both still in college at the time.
It's a personal question, and forgive me if it's I don't know if it'll be inappropriate, but just forgive me if I shouldn't be asking this. But I'm assuming you and your husband raised the children together?
Yes.
Okay. So with that said, let me ask you this: do you think that you and your husband raised your daughter differently because you had because she had a twin, because there was a brother the exact same age?
To some degree, yes, because we had to divide up a little bit. If my daughter was having, a meltdown in the street and needed to be contained, and we were on our way to, something where my son was the catcher in a baseball game, somebody had to keep going with him. Somebody had to show him how to throw a football.
Right.
That couldn't be me, and somebody had to teach my little girl had to be a little girl, I was a more likely candidate than my husband for that.
Right. So how did you handle? Well, how did the autism manifest itself? What kind of did she have outbursts in class? It doesn't sound like she was shy. Did she break down and cry a lot, or did she get angry a lot? How did it manifest itself?
Well, crying and angry was was a big one, and she was, kind of unpredictable in her explosiveness. She liked doing things herself, which has been a curse and a blessing, because she wanted to do things before she knew how to do them, and she hated it when people helped her, held her hand crossing the street, showed her how to hold a pencil. Tried to teach her how to get dressed or brush her hair. That was very, very difficult. Of course, as she got older, she began to learn that the only way she could achieve her goal of, reaching some sort of independence would be as if she allowed people to help her, and that if she didn't allow people to help her, she wasn't going to learn anything and she wasn't going to be independent. She finally got that.
What about the teenage years? Were there special challenges that and of course, a boy and a girl, sometimes there's different challenges just by that alone. But I guess specifically, and who I wanted you to talk to? I wanted you to talk to the mothers and fathers of children that are autistic right now.
Okay, well, in my daughter's case, being a teenager actually helped her. I don't know whether it was the hormones in puberty or it was that we tried Abilify for the first time, we were like at the head of the curve on that. And once she calmed down somewhat and became, much more appropriate, we were able to put her in a better school where they challenged her and where they taught her with a great deal more respect than some of the other special ed schools we had sent her to. But that was the moment that my son said, okay, it's my turn to be a pain in the neck.
Oh, no.
And so I had, a teenage son who, didn't want to do his homework, more typical battles over homework, battles over, everything that most I guess parents of neurotypical kids have. It was actually sort of funny. I couldn't tear my son away from the television set or the computer, and my daughter actually had to be assigned homework of watching television, Hannah Montana,
Oh, that's
American
interesting.
Idol, so that she would be able to have conversations with her peers. I mean, that's kind of important, I think, for parents to know as much as possible, to try to get their son or daughter or find an interest that they have that might be similar to some of their classmates, and try to, build on that.
Mm-hmm. How are her language skills at that age? Were they, and I guess a secondary question to that would be, did her brother's language skills kind of challenge her to be as good at language as he was?
I don't know if they challenged her to be as good as he was. Obviously, if someone's in your face, you have to deal with them. I don't think, interestingly, her current boyfriend, and she's had a serious boyfriend now for over 2 years, he's Asperger's, and he has an incredible vocabulary. And actually, I hear words coming back at me like, "Please don't infantilize me." And I'm like, what, huh? Where did that come from?
I don't know that word.
Make him like a baby.
Yeah. But actually, she latches onto it and overuses it. But, there's, he had an influence also. I should add that the four-letter words that he used as a teenager, unfortunately, I would say, she got some of those from him. And the context of when to use them.
I was going to say,
she's more daring with them than he is.
Oh, he knew not to say them around you, and she didn't seem to get.
No.
Oh, no?
He hurled them at me plenty, but not in the very worst way. And he's kind of backed off of that somewhat, and as a 25-year-old, as one would hope. But my daughter sort of decided, well, Matthew says it. What's wrong with me saying it?
And where did they grow up? Did they grow up in the city, or did you have a place out on Long Island or someplace?
An apartment on the Upper East Side.
Oh, okay.
No backyard, but Central Park.
Right. I'm enjoying this conversation greatly. Marguerite Elisofon, right? Did I do it right that time? We've got almost. Elisofon. Say it again.
Elisofon.
All right. Marguerite Elisofon, we've got to take a little break, but don't go away because I want to keep talking to you, okay?
Great.
All right. The book is called My Picture Perfect Family. It is really a sweet book, and we'll be right back. And we'll take phone calls, too, if you want to call in. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident this Monday. Times of clouds and sun during the morning hours, then mostly sunny and pleasant in the afternoon with a high of 78 to 82. It'll be mainly clear Monday night and cool, low 51 inland, 59 along the coast. Tuesday will be a nice day with sunshine, high 77 along the coast, 83 inland. For Wednesday, partly sunny, the high 75 at the coast, 80 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Tick-tock. The days fly by, and we find tax season is upon us once again. Not to worry, though. With a reputable CPA firm on your side, you can rest assured that all of your needs will be handled in a professional and thorough manner. Robson, Scribner & Stewart is just that firm. They're there for their clients year-round, not just during tax season, to handle your needs and answer any questions you may encounter. At Robson, Scribner & Stewart, there is no client too small or too large. Their expertise ranges from the single individual to the largest of corporations. Get your return prepared by a professional who will use their years of experience to ensure that your tax return's outcome will leave you in the best possible position. Call them today at 694-4184. Robson, Scribner & Stewart. They're there for you today. Again, that number is 694-4184. Time is of the essence, so don't delay. 694-4184.
It's the best tree planting time of the year, and the best place to pick your trees is Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. Every day, you get 33 to 66% off their regular low prices. Starting with large trees, 6 to 8 feet, at just $39.99, you can go all the way up to their super jumbos and everything in between. It's a fact, Bob has more trees than anyone. And by all means, don't forget that truckload azalea sale. And how about those spring veggies? Jumbo 4-packs, still just $2.99. And those famous Bob Wines heirloom camellias, still available at the low price of $14.99. Got a yard or landscaping job or a do-over in mind? Bob Wines can do it for less, a whole lot less. Come see what's happening for spring at Bob Wines Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street, Ocala, just east of Lake Beer Avenue. Daily till 4, Saturdays till 3. Bob Wines, homegrown, locally owned in the same place since 1952.
All right, 9 minutes before 10 o'clock. When it's a good interview, it goes quick, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Marguerite.
Thank you.
Elisofon. Marguerite Elisofon is on the phone. Dan, now I got it. See, when you get to know somebody, by the time a half hour is gone, you at least know how to say their name, right? Do you know what I want to tell you, Marguerite? We have a friend. He's 55 years old, and I've known him since he was 11, which was 1972. Hope I did the math right there. But he has Down syndrome. And I've known him. I live right next door to him now, and I lived right next door to him then, even though it's two different places. It was just one of those weird life coincidences. But I've often, like when you talk about him being in his younger days, it is interesting that you forget that a person has a handicap, if that makes sense. Other people seem to see it right away. I don't even see it anymore. Isn't that weird? Does the same thing happen for you? I mean, do other people see the autism but you don't, and your husband doesn't, and your son doesn't?
Well, I guess we get used to it, and when you see somebody every day, what they look like is what they look like.
Yeah.
I think it's a little different when a person is when they physically look the same as everybody else, but they don't always behave or speak the same as everybody else. I think, although you get used to it, it's not the same as getting used to somebody's face, if you know what I mean. I think the main thing is you just see them as another human being, your neighbor, your friend, or your child.
Right. We do have a phone call coming in. Let's take a phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Marguerite Elisofon.
Good morning. I'm enjoying the conversation. The folks have done a lot of work with kids and animals, and for instance, the American Therapeutic Riding Association, they do a lot of work with autistic kids and horses, and the sense of accomplishment and self-esteem seems to go up so much when these kids get involved with horses and animals and such. And I didn't know if you had anything to dovetail into that, or.
Okay, that's a really good.
Well, actually, I have done. Last week I did a presentation. I attended a presentation of another author, Rupert Isaacson, whom you've probably heard of if you're into horses and therapy for children with autism through that method. And what was interesting to me, and my daughter actually sang at that presentation as proof that, children with autism who are encouraged to follow their passions and who are, raised in a particular way that agrees with their wiring can do very well. And so, yes, what was interesting to me is it isn't just horses. It could be swimming. It could be going on the swings. It could be jumping on a trampoline. Things that stimulate their vestibular system but are also calming. And in many ways, some of the horse therapy and the extensions of it are very similar to Dr. Stanley Greenspan, who was very well known in the field of working with children that had been diagnosed with autism. And so many of the things that I did with my daughter, we didn't go horseback riding in New York, and it never occurred to me to do so, and I think she probably would have been terrified of the horse, but going on the swings, she always liked, roller coasters, and, she could be in the water for hours. So, I do see the merits and the logic of it, and I think that, like all the other, therapies and activities that are out there for these children, whatever works,
Yeah, and I guess you didn't have the luxury of being able to try the horse idea. You probably hadn't heard about it in a very horse-rich area, so it does come up a lot for therapeutic purposes. Thank you. That was a great question.
Certainly does.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
You and your husband had to be pioneers in this field because it wasn't really made public back then when your children were born. How did you and your husband handle respite care for yourselves? Because you had to have some time also.
Well, that's a very good question. Yes, we did. Well, to be honest, we did have some. We had more than the average number of babysitters, so that the two of us could have a breather. As you know, we like to do things as a family. I didn't want to abandon my children to babysitters, so what we did was we took the babysitter with us to restaurants, to movies, to wherever, you know, to the extent that we could afford it, and probably more than, just so that we could, my daughter could learn manners, and that she could, you know, see a play or a movie or sit in a restaurant, and, you know, we could get through a meal. And if she didn't behave, you know, this was around 7 or 8 when she was at her most impossible, we would say to her, you know, you have a choice. You could stay here with us, which we would like you to do, or you can continue to scream and go home with the babysitter.
Oh,
and that gave us some respite. And then also I dance. I take dance classes every day. It's my therapy. You know, I think people have to take care of themselves if they're going to take care of their children. And also, if you're physically fit and you eat well and you set a good example, hopefully, your child will follow that example, no matter whether they're neurotypical or not.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it like writing the memoir? You're reliving those years in the memoir, and was that a joy? Did you cry? Was it fun? Did you have to rack your brain and say, whoa, what did we do on that day we went to Mexico and all that other stuff?
Actually, the memories were pretty vivid. Sometimes what gave me the most trouble was trying to remember how old they were at a given point, because in New York City, you start school, for public school, the cutoff is December, which is when my kids were born. But in special ed, in private schools, it's a different cutoff. It's September. So it was difficult juggling, you know, the ages. That was the hardest for me, actually, was remembering what grades they were in.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was, I mean, yes, it was joyful. It was never, I wouldn't say it was joyful. The end was joyful. The writing of it brought back, obviously, all of the emotions that I felt at the time, but it was also therapeutic for me. And the main thing was I wanted other parents to know that as bad as things can get and might be, there's usually a silver lining if you look for it. If you think outside the box and you're determined and you're patient, usually, I mean, maybe not in every case, but more of the time than not, you can move the ball forward.
And next year we'll be able to see your daughter in an award-winning movie.
I hope so. You know, provided they get all the money for the post-production and they get a distributor, where they're expecting to release Keep the Change next year. That's correct. And my son's movie is coming out next month.
And what's that called? What's that one called?
That one's called Being Charlie, and it was co-written by my son, Matt Elisofon, and Nick Reiner, Rob Reiner's son, and directed by Rob Reiner. And it was in the Toronto Film Festival.
Nice.
Last year.
You have a very handsome family. I'm looking at pictures in the book right now. I have a copy of the book. Call me if you want it. The rest of us have to go buy it. Marguerite, we've got like 20 seconds. Can you give us a website?
www.margueriteelisofon.com. It's available on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com.
And to make that website easier, Robin already has it on our website. My Picture Perfect Family, Marguerite Elisofon. Thank you so much for being on the air with us. That was fun.
Thank you. For me, too.
All right. We'll be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
Of course.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. Questions surrounding Sunday's Amtrak fatal crash and derailment near Philadelphia. The area's congressional rep blames a communications failure.
You should know when the train's coming. I mean, everybody should know when there's a train coming. They're on schedule, and it ain't hard to figure out.
Democrat Bob Brady, 2 construction workers were killed on the track. Service has resumed. Delays can be expected. Donald Trump and Ted Cruz not letting up heading into tomorrow's crucial Wisconsin primary.
Nominating Trump
elects Hillary.
Ted Cruz never hired a person in his life.
Ted Cruz in Eau Claire Sunday and Donald Trump in West Allis at a Fox Forum with Greta Van Susteren. Both candidates hit the trail here again in southeastern Wisconsin today, with the latest polls showing Cruz leading Trump here.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Meanwhile, the Democrats are debating whether there's time to schedule a debate ahead of the critical New York State primary April 19th. The Sanders camp is demanding it. Fox News. We report, you decide.
This is an announcement for all people who want to take a risk-free challenge to whiten their teeth in 5 minutes. By calling now, you can whiten your teeth in 5 minutes using clinically proven power swabs. This risk-free challenge is for people whose smile has been yellowed by coffee, tea, red wine, or smoking. The Power Swabs 5-minute challenge is available by responding to this advertisement. If lines are busy, try again. Because the Power Swabs 5-minute challenge is exclusive, it's not available in drugstores. Power Swabs was formulated by Dr. Martin Ginniger and whitens teeth with a patented tooth detergent and whitening agent. It's so effective, we challenge you to try it for 5 minutes to see how white your smile could be. Get it risk-free. Dial 1-800-663-0712. That's 1-800-663-0712. Transform your smile into a wow, you look great smile. Dial 1-800-663-0712. That's 1-800-663-0712.
Today in Florida Ag News from the Southeast AgNet, USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service has initiated the Conservation Delivery Streamlining Initiative, or CDSI, to implement a more effective, efficient, and sustainable business model for delivering conservation assistance. And the first part of that system is their Conservation Client Gateway, their secure web application. NRCS Chief Jason Weller discusses how producers and local NRCS field staff appreciate the first part of their 3-part online CDSI.
From producers that are enrolled, they're really appreciative. They really like it because it's saving them time. Ultimately, to have a producer not have to drive into the field office to sign paperwork, they can sign the paperwork online. That's a huge time savings and big cost savings to them, not having to take time off the farm, managing their livestock, managing the operation, or just frankly burning gas on the way into the field office. But also, they like it because it organizes all their information, all their paperwork. So instead of them having to keep track of all their conservation plans, receipts, it's all done for them on this online system. And our field people like it too. In September, at the end of the fiscal year, for our field staff, a lot of times what a local district conservationist committee is doing is actually chasing farmers around in the field where these guys are trying to harvest in their combines, trying to get signatures to get them enrolled. Now our field people don't have to do that. They can all basically send emails, updates, requests, send the guy a text. When you come in from the combine tonight, can you just go online and click yes, we'll get you enrolled. So it's time savings for farmers, but also it's a time saving for our field people.
To learn more about Conservation Client Gateway, just contact your local NRCS field office.
Hi, I'm Adam Putnam, Florida's Commissioner of Agriculture. If you're tired of receiving calls from telemarketers, sign up for Florida's Do Not Call list, which prevents telemarketers from calling your home or cell phone numbers. It even protects you from receiving unwanted text messages. Now, signing up for Florida's Do Not Call list is easier than ever because we eliminated the fee to subscribe. Just call 1-800-HELP-FLA or visit www.freshfromflorida.com to add your numbers to the nearly 800,000 others on Florida's Do Not Call list.
Randall Wiseman, Southeast AgNet.
Whether you're building it up or knocking it down, get it done, rent it now. Sunbelt Rentals is here to make your job a little easier. Our knowledgeable staff will help you find the right equipment for any job, big or small. Did you know that Sunbelt Rentals carries heaters, air conditioners, generators, lighting, traffic control, and so much more? So whether you're building it up or knocking it down, we've got the equipment you need. Get it done, rent it now. And right now, for a limited time, you can have it for less. Just by mentioning this ad, if you rent it Friday afternoon, you can keep it the whole weekend and only pay for one day. But this is a limited time offer, so stop into Sunbelt Rentals today, Northwest 27th, just a quarter mile east of I-75. For more information, just give us a call, 352-369-9101. 352-369-9101. Sunbelt Rentals. Get it done, rent it now.